Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to the Marriage is Tougher Than Woodpecker Lives podcast. This is Brian, joined by my co-host, Paul. We'd like to welcome you to a community meant for the men of the world to share their thoughts and perspectives on marriage. We can learn from each other's experiences and help each other be better husbands. This week on the pod, we want to talk about what are the things that you deprioritize or even give up when you become a husband and father.
And before we hop all the way into this episode, we just want to say thank you for stopping by. If this is your first time, welcome. If you've been rocking with us for a while, welcome back. If you'd like to go deeper in this conversation, please reach out to us on searching Marriage is Tougher on any social media channel, or you can go to marriageisttougher.com and you can hit the comments and hit the contact form and leave us a comment there. If you'd like to be a guest, you can do the same. Hit the contact form, let us know your name, what you'd like to talk about, and we'll talk about how we can get you on the pod. We just really appreciate you and just want to say thank you for rocking with us. Now let's get into the episode.
Yeah. Man. So my mind went a couple different areas when thinking about this topic. And where I landed was, I remember Sean telling me in premarital counseling, the topic was talking about dying, right? Dying to your old ways. And I'm like, that's it right there. That's it right there. How many things will I choose to die to? Right? How many things am I going to stand on? Like, this is non-negotiable. But the funny thing is like, as you get older and as your kids progress and you become, you build relationships with your kids and you start to see them develop, like, your stuff just becomes less important, right? And I feel like I'm talking out both sides of my neck, right?
Right.
It's like, one day I'll say, yeah, man, none of that's important. I just want to see my kids develop and become good humans. That's what I'm here for. Then the very next day I'll be like, yo, I need some me time. I need to develop myself. I need some sanity. I need my mental health. Right. So I guess it's both but like, what do we want to talk about today? Is it like the things we have given up and whether that was appropriate or not?
I mean, I don't think it has to be given up. It's where do our priorities lie, right? Yeah. It's the things that we can talk about things we've totally given up, but we can also talk about things that we do less of or care less about, right? I think that would be what deprioritize, right? Because I think we had our priorities before we got married. It's like, we're doing this, we're investing this much time in this. Then once we got married, it was different. Or when we became parents, right? I mean, both of us were either parents before or immediately a parent, right? When we got married, our marriage is not separate from kids.
Right.
That's both of our experiences, right? So you had to, some of the things you may have already given up, right? Or you already deprioritized, and some, it took a level of maturity as we matured in our marriage to realize, why am I dying on this hill when this can be so much better if I just let this go?
Right.
So I would say, what's one thing you think that you do less of now?
So there's more than one reason, but athletics.
Yeah.
Right. Like when I met my wife, I was still playing football. And, if not for age and injury, I could technically still be participating. I'm not going to say playing. I'm going to say participating. Right. I was coaching high school as well. Right. But work and family has superseded that as a priority now. But those are also things that I still think about, specifically coaching as well, right? Like, because that for me is contribution to community. But I legitimately don't have the time for it. Therefore, my thing now is, when do my kids come to age where I can coach their teams and I can get all of it?
Right.
Right. So I think that's the number one because for me, that was largely like my identity, right? Like Brian the athlete.
Hmm.
How about for you? What's number one or nearish top of the list?
I think the first thing that comes to mind is athletics as well, more so in the workout space. Played a lot of basketball once when I met my wife. Um, a lot of leagues, a lot of that type of stuff because that was the best way I could keep in shape.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the same, barring injury, more so barring injury, I could still participate.
Right.
But at the same time, knowing that as you get older and you injure yourself, it takes longer to recover. And that also takes you away from all your other responsibilities.
Right.
I think second thing that comes to mind is music. Um,
Ooh.
and because I was really into playing, practicing, I was with a bunch of different groups that played out different places. And I had to cut that out to prioritize building with my family because you
Right.
can't build if you're not there. So, all that in our 16 years, I've kind of come full circle with that now, especially as our youngest is older. Um, so I'm now, working out 5 days a week again and doing a little bit more music, spending time practicing and all that. So it's time, right? It's time spent,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's a very important part. You have to realize that there is only 24 hours in the day, and so you have to figure out what you're doing. And I think that's the biggest lesson I would want anyone to take away when you become a husband and a father, whatever the whichever comes first.
Mm-hmm.
You do have to reprioritize your time, and you really have to think about what you say is important. And if you want your actions to follow what you say is important, you're going to have to make changes.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, for me, my number two would be shooting pool. Right. Like I was on a team, and we would have to every week travel to different places to play, and with our ultimate goal being earning a spot to play in Vegas once a year. Right. I think I've previously brought this up, but that I thought was a non-negotiable for me, um, until we had a conversation about it, and she was expressing to me like, with all the other things you have going on as well, and I don't think she used these words, but how I heard it was, how can that be more important than me?
Hmm.
Right. And I was like, dang it. And like, just thinking about it now, it's been 6 or more years since I've played at that level. Right.
That's wild knowing you and you saying that out loud and putting a date to like a time frame. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I was just thinking, like, Maxwell's 5 now. He's gonna be 6 this month. I'm like, yo, I missed that, but I also kind of don't, because
Yeah.
like, I understand the cost, right? And so again, that's like both, and what what pieces of it that I actually miss, right? And
Hmm.
it's the community around it, and that, like, chasing wins,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, that
But everything else,
competition.
like, I could obviously do without. Like, I don't want to be in smoky bars. I don't want to be drinking that much, right? Like, eating bar food is unhealthy. Like, yeah, I'm good. I can do without that. um, I think it also left some availability to watch, um, like, sports, right? Like
Hmm.
baseball, football, or whatever. It left some opportunity for that, but I don't even find myself really trying to focus on doing that at home now. So that'd probably be number three for me. Is
Wow, I was just gonna
Yeah,
say because I didn't even think about it, but yeah, I was really into watching sports, whatever it was, like basketball, football, um, college, pro.
yeah,
Like I could tell you the people, the players, the coaches, all that. Now it's like, who are these people?
Right.
Like the only thing I do is sit down and watch Ohio State play football. That's the only sport that I'll like, okay, I'll make a prioritization for that.
Right.
And that even depends. Like last week,
Facts.
big game, I was out looking for a hat for this outfit that I was going to wear at a wedding, right? In the
Okay.
middle of the game, which if you would have told me that 5 years ago, that would have not been a thing.
Right. Right.
So yeah, and it was a big game. This wasn't like playing Purdue or
Right.
Northwestern. We were,
Right.
this
Right.
was a top five matchup. I usually am right in front of the TV watching it, right? So I think it's that time prioritization and like, what is this costing me? Is this worth it? Right. So we ended up, me and my daughter, I took her with me and we ended up, it wasn't even for her. I was looking for a hat for me. We ended up at the store. She ended up getting like 3 or 4 outfits and it was like a good time, like just having time with her. So it's really that thing. I would say the fourth thing probably for me would be sleep.
Oh no, not the sleep.
Sleep slash sleep slash schedule. Sleep slash sleep schedule, right?
Yeah.
So I have to wake up early to be able to get into my word, pray, and get to the gym. If I don't wake up early, that's not going to happen. So it's actually something that has become a non negotiable that wasn't before
Okay.
because I had different priorities and times where I could do that. Right. So, um, whether I go to bed at midnight or 10 or 1 a.m., I'm usually up between 5:30 and 6.
Okay.
So it's still like the time of getting up is now a priority where it wouldn't before, where I would just sleep as late as I could to get out of the house or to
Right.
get my daughter up to go. And that's not a thing. Like, so it's deprioritize my comfortability in wake up time and prioritize the consistent schedule.
Yeah, man. Sleep is major, and I don't get enough of it. But you knowing me, like I never really have.
Yeah.
So that for me is not a sacrifice. That has become more of a choice now,
Hmm.
being that I am better with sleep, but I also know that that's the space in that nighttime, early morning that I have to get things done for me,
Mm-hmm.
right? Whether it be trying to learn something new, like you said, get into the word. Is it that, some random venture that I want to tickle the ivories on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why I typically lose sleep editing the podcast, which I've got pretty efficient at. So
Yep, you have.
that's man, I remember with that old computer, it'd be like 4 hours. I'd be like, yo, I can't do this.
Right.
Yeah, man. So what I also want to talk about as we're like about 5 minutes or so from wrapping up, what are the things that replaced our past priorities, right? Like for me,
Whoa.
it's like kids' activities.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like every weekend, every other day, every day, there's something that has to happen for them. And I enjoy it, but I also recognize the things that I'm missing out that I want, right? Like I remember specifically last year being at a cheer competition, which if you've never been to one, they are all day and get you some cushioned bleacher seats.
Yeah, think track meet, wrestling meet,
Ooh.
think
Yeah.
those things when you think cheer competition.
Yeah. And just when you think it's over, it's like, oh, wait, it's award time.
Yeah. Oh, that's a whole nother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Ohio State was on, and I'm watching phone football. Because
Yep.
if you really put this into perspective, right, you're there with a team, different age groups of all the teams, right? But your child performs for legit 5 minutes and you're there for hours. I'm
Mm-hmm.
just like, all right, I'm gonna try to watch this game. And so I make accommodations, right? Like this past weekend, we got the bleacher seats. They can actually recline. They got armrests and they fold flat. Like they're legit.
Whoa. I need that
Um,
link.
yeah. Also, I have safe battery pack, so I can watch the game, let the phone drain a little bit, and then keep the battery in check, so I can finish the game. The 1 year that was not a thing. I lost it at the end. I'm like, no,
Right.
But what else is there that has replaced our old priorities in your world?
Yeah, I agree. It's child activities. And I think for me, it's purposeful time. It's purposeful time, right? I think what
Mm-hmm.
replaced it was kind of flippant, kind of going through whatever happens. That was I had to deprioritize that mindset
Mm-hmm.
and now be more intentional. Excuse me, which I'm still trying to get better at. Um, but so you know, flying by the seat of my pants to being more intentional with my thoughts. That's what really has changed. I was not, and I'm still getting better at even taking my wife out or asking her to go out on dates.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that has become a priority because I'd be a homebody. Like, let's just stay in, play cards, let's watch a movie at home, like that type of thing. But that has shifted as she's made that known that she would prefer, me asking her out and us taking some time together. Because there's a time where it can be all kids and no marriage as far as building,
Mm-hmm.
but it's got to be a both with, I would dare say, more emphasis on the marriage building so that you can be what you need to be for your kids. Um, so I think it was more of a mindset shift for me that you can't just like, my life was my own
Mm-hmm.
before I got married, and then I married someone who had a child. So like now it's figuring out what is really important, and they were the most important. So I had to be more regimented to fit everything in that was needed.
Yeah, man, I gotta share this with you. We recently decided to dial back our already dialed back screen time for the kids. I think I shared with you. Um, we had made a decision that they could only have 2 hours a day. More recently, we're like, y'all can have 2 hours a day on the weekend, right? And what that has allowed for my family is I have discovered how savage my children are.
Meeting.
So we started playing Trouble lately, and it's become like a nightly thing. They go into one of the couple cabinets we have of board games, and they just started pulling out Trouble, and they want to play Trouble all the time, and I'm there
Mm.
for it. And they are savages, man. They just take no mercy on you, on sending you back to home base.
You've done
I,
well.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You've done very
It's like a
well.
proud moment, but it's also hurtful because like as soon as their turn comes up, they're counting how many spaces. Like, what do I need to roll to send you back home?
Right. Like I'm not even trying to win. I'm trying to destroy your life. Like
Yeah, 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 yeah. So it's like, hey, bro, like you don't gotta do it like that,
yeah.
right? Just roll and see what happens, man. You don't gotta. This is
uh,
premeditated.
I love that.
But I love that this change has been happening and we're more engaged with the kids, right? I even feel like they are, so it's going both ways, right? Like they're seeking us more and I'm seeking them more,
Hmm.
right? We're spending more time outside, but just having a lot more fun
Yeah.
together.
That's amazing, man. Those That's a little priority, right? Less screens,
Hmm.
and you don't even know the benefits of it. Like looking up and getting the fresh air and playing in the leaves and destroying your family in trouble, right? Like
It's hilarious.
it's amazing. Yeah. So my
We're
my
like,
daughter,
I'm
my
sorry.
daughter is when she when she gets grounded from screens, she's really her most creative. She'll go write a song, she'll go paint a picture, she'll go color something, she'll want to do something, right? So it's good to just think about priorities and how are you spending your time, especially as a husband, making sure your wife feels that she is the most important because in our in our brains we say that, in our intentions we say that, but do our actions reflect that?
Mm.
And then second, with your kids, if you have kids, are they the next in line? They should be. All your money's going to their things. So now let's spend, but their activities can't outrank your relationship with them. So if you're not involved in their activities, like if you're just dropping off or picking up, if you're not coaching or directing or anything, take some time to, take them to lunch, take them to dinner by themselves, so that you can build or do activities with them, just you one on one, so that they can feel that relationship of you as a dad in their life. I think that's something that we should prioritize.
Yeah, I think what I really want to start doing is individually taking them on walks, right? Like it doesn't have to be long, just once around the block, right? Would suffice. And
Mm-hmm.
that's, I mean, once around our block is pretty big. So you're probably talking probably at least 15 to 20 minutes. I've never timed it before, but
And they have little legs.
that too. But I think you walk a little bit slower when you're conversing,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like you don't have somewhere to be, right? You're not just going anywhere. We're just taking a lap and we're intentionally going to have conversations. Um, it goes a little bit slower. And I think from my perspective, it will allow them to just open up and maybe say the thing they have wanted to say but haven't
Mm,
because other ears are around,
right.
right? But just being intentional about keeping that space judgment free, letting them know, hey, this is your space, right? Like it's just you and me. Force you to say anything, right? I might ask you some questions and like prime the pump and let them
Mm-hmm.
get those juices flowing, but outside of that, like let's just have a good time together. And I think as that develops, it'll allow them to be more free with their thoughts.
That's a good idea. I think as we wrap up, I think we as husbands and fathers should sit in that. Just make intentional time for every single person in your family, and it be a safe space, or if there has been damage, a space to build back up where you'd like it to be. And I think a walk is a good idea, or anything that works well, for you. But I think that's very important.
Yeah.
You got anything else to say?
Nah, that's it, man.
All right. Well, we appreciate you making it through this episode. If this impacted you in any way, or you feel like it would impact a friend or someone you know, please share this episode. You can like and subscribe so you never miss when a new episode drops, or you know our content. You can again search Marriage is Tougher on all social media platforms, or just go to marriageistougher.com, where you can see our whole archive of episodes, or get in contact with us if you'd like to be a guest or you just have a question. So we appreciate you, and we will talk to you next time.
Peace.